Okay, we're in quadratic equations in Chapter 8 for Algebra 2. We're at 8.2b. And this is a Pythagorean Theorem word problem, and we're going to use a quadratic equation. If you haven't seen the previous videos, you can just click on this video's description and watch those if you become lost. Now, for some word problems, quadratic equations will serve as a mathematical model. We talked about this in the last video, and that we can write the equation and draw a diagram as strategies to solve it. We have to label our unknown quantities and specify the units of measurement. So we have to first make sure that we understand the problem, come up with and carry out a plan, find the answer, and check it to make sure it makes sense. Okay? So here's our theorem for Pythagorean theorem. It's in any right triangle. If A and B are the length of the legs and C is the length of the hypotenuse, then A squared plus B squared equals C squared. We've learned that last year, right? Well, this theorem is helpful for solving problems involving quadratic equations. So here's the problem. Bicyclist A and B leave the same point P at the same time at right angles. So that tells us right away that we've got these two and there's a right angle, so we've got a right triangle, don't we? B travels 7 kilometers per hour faster than A, and after 3 hours, they're 39 kilometers apart. Find the speed of each bicyclist. Well, it sounds really confusing, but if we break this down, it's not really that bad. We can make a drawing, and it'll help us visualize the problem, and we need to assign variables and come up with an equation. So, the information we have is that A and B leave at the same point, at the same time, at right angles, and that B is going 7 kilometers an hour faster than A, and after 3 hours, they're 39 kilometers apart. And we need to find the speed of the bicyclist, okay? So they both leave P at the same time. So B headed up this way, and A headed this way. And after 3 hours, A was here and B was there. B traveled 7 kilometers an hour faster than A, so he went farther, didn't he? And after the 3 hours, they were 39 kilometers apart. Now, does that make sense? So we're going to let R equal the speed of A, and we're going to let R plus 7, because he went 7 kilometers faster, be the speed of B. And since both bicyclists traveled 3 hours, it's the same amount of time, their distances from P are 3R, because that was A's speed, right? So it's 3 times R, and it's going to be 3R plus 7 for B. See? Because he's 7 kilometers an hour faster than R, all right, which is A. So now we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So we're going to plug in these values. We're going to let that be A squared, that be B squared, and this 39 squared will be the C squared, okay? So now we've got 3R plus 7 squared plus 3R squared equals 39 squared. 3 squared is a 9. So now we've got 9 times R plus 7 squared, right? Because we didn't square this part yet in the parentheses. This is 9R squared right here, and 39 times 39 is 1,521. Now we've got this 9 here. We need to set the first term to a 1, and we can do it by dividing each term by 9, this coefficient right here. We could also multiply each term by 1/9. I like to divide when there's no fractions. This is going to make a 1, isn't it? Because the same numerator and denominator. So instead of 9R plus 7 squared, we just have R plus 7 squared. And here we just have R squared, and 1,521 divided by 9 is 169. Now we can open this up and FOIL it, can't we? R plus 7 times R plus 7, that's what that means. Plus the R squared equals 169. We FOIL this and we get R squared plus 7R plus 7R plus 49, because 7 times 7 is 49, plus this R squared, and it's going to equal that 169. We're going to combine like terms. So this 7R and this 7R makes 14R. And we're going to set it to equal 0. So we're going to add a negative 169 to both sides of the equation, make this an additive inverse, a 0 pair, so now it equals 0. And we've got 2R squared plus 14R minus 120 equals 0. we need to set the first term to equal a 1 again. So now, just like we did up here with the 9, we need to divide each term by 2. That makes a 1, because the numerator and denominator are the same, so we just get r squared. That makes a 7r, and that makes a minus 60. Now we can factor this, and it can be factored as r plus 12, r minus 5, because a 12 minus 5 is a 7, but a 12 times a negative 5 makes that negative 60. So that works out perfectly, doesn't it? We set this to equal 0 and that to equal 0 with an or in between them. We get r plus 12 equals 0, and we can add a negative 12 to each side to isolate r, so we get r equals negative 12. And we add a 5 to each side here, and we get r equals 5. But this is supposed to be the rate of A, Bicyclist A, and it can't be a negative. Speed can't be a negative. So that is not a viable answer. It's got to be r equals 5. Now remember, r is going to be 5, so that's 5 kilometers per hour, and that's the speed of A. And if B was the r plus 7, that means it's 5 plus 7, so B must be 12 kilometers per hour. Now we know the speed of both. A is 5 and B is 12 kilometers per hour. So just remember, you can't have a negative speed or a negative distance or a negative measurement of inches, yards, kilometers, feet, whatever, meters. You can't have negatives. So that right away told us that that one wasn't an answer. We didn't have to go through all this checking and plugging it in and substituting it. We could just look and see, can't be negative, so it's got to be the 5. All right? Our next video is 8.3a, and we're going to do equations with the quadratic formula. I'm going to add this video to the Algebra II playlist. I'm still going to have those 3 quadratic equation videos from last year to link if you need help, and the previous videos for Chapter 8 that we've done so far. So if you're confused at all, please go back to 8.1a, watch that video, watch 8.1b, then 8.2a, and then this one again, and you should be fine, okay? Just in case you miss some steps, all right? You want to fill in those empty holes that you missed, all right? If you did get it, great. I'll see you next video. Bye.